It's not even Thanksgiving yet, but I'm already in the Christmas spirit. It seems wrong, but it feels right. That's what she said. What's up, Flick fans? Welcome back to my channel. Happy early Thanksgiving and apparently a Merry Christmas, because today we are talking the brand new Christmas musical that is Spirited, starring Ryan Reynolds and Will Ferrell. Let's do it. Each Christmas Eve, a ghost of Christmas Present, played by Will Ferrell, selects one dark soul to be reformed by a visit from three spirits. But this season, he picked the wrong Scrooge. Ryan Reynolds' character of Clint Briggs turns the tables on his ghostly host until Present finds himself re-examining his own past, present, and future. For the first time, A Christmas Carol is told from the perspective of the ghosts in this hilarious modern musical twist on the classic Dickens tale from director Sean Anders, and this is written by Sean Anders and John Morris. Starting with the rating as always, this movie is rated PG-13 for language, suggestive material, and thematic elements. So your classic standard PG-13 movie. Now there's one moment in this film that shockingly made me think, oh, if they push this a bit further, it could be rated R. Other than that, it is somewhat of a family movie that falls firmly into the musical category, and you have two great comedic talents in Ryan Reynolds and Will Ferrell. Now, this is the type of film that you go into expecting one thing. You expect it to be full of cliches, and it's a musical, obviously, so every few minutes you're going to have our characters break out into song. But it's a comedy, so what the movie tries to do is it tries to play on that and critique the modern musical. So whenever they're about to break out in song, they're kind of like, oh, we're doing this again. But the movie does continue to do it. And I found the first 30 minutes of this film to be a little crammed with musical numbers. I found that it was taking away from the story itself, even though I do like the behind the scenes aspect of what these spirits actually have to go through. And while it's all over the place in the first act, seeing that element was really cool. And it does, in fact, get very interesting. The movie starts and they're finishing up their last task. And all of the cliches of visiting this character and, oh my gosh, life is all good now, let's go and change our ways. But then they have to find their new target, and it turns out the perfect candidate, at least according to Will Ferrell's character, is this modern day Scrooge, played by Ryan Reynolds, who is deemed as unredeemable. It's the type of guy that you don't think that he can turn it all around, and even if he does, is he going to stay? But what they were overly concerned with, at least in the first 30 minutes, were telling these jokes that just weren't all that funny, riffing, going back and forth with these spiritual characters, and I couldn't really see what the heart of this movie was going to be. Now, that gets introduced a bit later, but I also thought the reliance on breaking into song was taking away from what this story could have been. And after the first 35 to 40 minutes, I'm thinking to myself, why was this a musical? There's no point. Like, sure, some of the songs are going to be entertaining. There's one number with Ryan Reynolds when we get introduced to his character, or at least based around how big of a jerk he actually is. And that was really fun. And I'm like, okay, this is the first time one of these songs has actually worked for me. But I kept thinking to myself, why is this a musical? It's taking away from the experience. And then we get one musical number that's set back, and I think it's the 1800s, that does kind of put things into perspective for me. That song, I really appreciated. And really, from there on out, I like the music more so, but I think that's because the writing actually started to work extremely well. It's when we get an idea of who Ryan Reynolds' character actually is, but more importantly, who Will Ferrell's character actually is. Because when Ferrell's Ghost of Christmas Present approaches Clint Briggs, Briggs tries to flip the script. He doesn't get all that freaked out by what's happening, by the ghosts visiting him and, oh, can he turn his life around? He's more concerned with Ferrell's character and, why do you have the right to come up to me and say, hey, you need to change your life? What about your life? Were you once human? Where do you come from? And I like that twist. I like the idea of looking into and being more concerned with what's happening and kind of realizing, do these people or spirits or ghosts, whatever they are, do they have the right to judge me? And that's when the movie started to get more entertaining for me, because I was actually accepting of what they were doing with the story, but also the musical numbers, they didn't happen every 5 minutes. They started to spread that out, give us more story, focus on these main two characters, incorporate some side characters that were very good. Octavia Spencer is in this movie. You get the voice of Tracy Morgan. The jokes were hit and miss, and I think the story as a whole is a bit messy in its execution. Does it want to fully be a romantic type of film? Are we too focused on the emotion? Are we too focused on the musical numbers? spoilers, I actually think the emotion of this movie, other than a couple of jokes that were great, the emotion's the best part. There's one scene in particular where we get a glimpse of Clint's past and he's visiting the hospital, and that's all I'll say. That moment was actually really great, and you do start to feel the heart the more it goes. Now, I do think they make some decisions towards the end that are just kind of like, why is this movie not done at this point? I like the gutsiness of those decisions and the gutsiness of a few moments, Clint telling his niece to do something to this kid that's messing with her, and then we get to see the result of that, what could happen to that kid, and I'm like, whoa, okay. And then the end of the movie is actually quite horrifying if you think about it in one way, but they don't play it up like that, so you're like, oh, that's sweet, wait a second. Oh, that's what happened. Oh my God. So yeah, there were some things in here I question. The writing is a bit all over the place at points, but when it showcases that heart and emotion, I have a feeling some people are going to really enjoy it. I think some younger viewers will see it as maybe a new Christmas classic. I don't see it that way, but I do think once it starts to get into that heart, even though it takes a while to get there, the movie does start to work. So before I give you guys my score, let me know your thoughts down below. Did you enjoy Spirited? Are you watching it on Apple TV Plus, or did you watch the Regal, was it the Regal Secret screening? I almost did that, but didn't get the chance. Spirited may be overly concerned with incorporating as many musical numbers as possible in the beginning, but once it slows down and allows the emotions to build, there is some heart that shines through, and I found some heart in the film. I'm going a 62% with my score. It got better as it went along, and that's all you can ask for with a movie like this. So thanks so much for watching this video. Are you watching Christmas movies already in November? And if you are, what's your favorite Christmas movie of all time? Hey, Will Ferrell's in this movie. I love Elf. I can't stop watching it. Goodbye.